chaos is opportunity. We're at this really wild crossroads of technology explosion and efficiency pickups and expansion of human capability. So I'm going to get an optimist so I can play with it. I want to
Me
see what it
too.
can do. Now, I love walking my dog, but I'm going to program it to walk Hawkeye, our boxer. Like, I'll go with him. Like, it could be me and Optimus walking our dog. He's going to be like, where's mom? What is this thing?
So it's always been, we're so sorry. The company's not performing as well as we expected. So unfortunately, you can't continue to work here. The rules are changing in that companies that are doing really, really, really well, like Amazon, are still cutting their staff. And so it's not an expression of defeat, but it's more like, hey, we need different skills. We need different jobs because our strategy is changing. And because the speed of innovation is so incredibly fast, that's changing every quarter, every year.
I think that there's a version of cognitive dissonance going on in the workforce where the change is so rapid and there's so many inputs coming at everybody about what is or isn't happening with AI. I don't know if humans are capable of projecting forward what a world looks like with less employment opportunity.
Happy New Year. I think we can still say Happy New Year, Patrick. What do you think?
Yeah, the month's not over.
It's
That's
still
usually my rule. I wouldn't say it in February. We have 3 or 4 days left, so we're
Yeah,
good.
so this episode will air in February, but we officially are recording in January, so we are allowed to say Happy New Year. Happy 2026. We hope that this year has been kind to you so far.
Mm.
It's been a while since we've last come to you with an episode of Leadership and Motivation Unleashed.
Was it October?
It was October. It's been busy. It's been busy in our world, and we'll talk to you a little bit about that over the course of today's episode. And Patrick and I decided we were going to take a couple of months off at the end of the year to wrap things up and then come back to you with a new season at the beginning of the new year. And so here we are.
Wrap things up and launch things.
Oh, yes. Wrapping, launching, all kinds of things. And so today, we don't have any specific topics for you, but really we wanted to chat with you, bring you up to speed on some stuff that's been going on, highlight some of our observations about things that are happening in the world around us and how that affects the work that we do and the industries that we operate in. And then we'll come back to you over the course of the next few weeks and months with additional episodes. We'll have some guests. We'll have some Q&As. But please continue to share your questions, things that you're curious about, topics you'd like us to tackle. We've really appreciated those of you who have sent us ideas, and it helps us make sure we're aligning our content with what you guys are interested in.
You first, Rach.
Okay, so what's been going on? So on the work front, although as many of you know, I've spent really all of my career in HR, I've been expanding some of my remit, and I am now the Chief Administrative Officer of CheckAlt. And what that essentially means is I've been taking over the administration and the guidance of some other key projects and programs and strategic initiatives. So probably it's a lot of things that don't quite fit in other departments, but right now my world, of course, includes HR, but also legal, some of our operational components, some strategic projects, and things like that. So that's been new for me, and it's been a really fun adventure so far.
PE and VC environments, and we're a PE environment, but they're similar in a lot of ways. Maybe the oversight throttles differently between PE and VC. VC, the quants come flowing in like a river, and there's a constant dissection of the financials. I was young when GTCR was our partner at a company called GenPass Technologies, but I certainly witnessed it from 2 chairs over. And then being first chair at a PE group, I can certainly see the differences, but these are the types of places that you can do those things, that you can expand your wing flapping area to delve into areas that publicly traded companies that are really built for risk aversion. That should probably be its own episode. And there's a good reason for risk aversion in big companies. There's tens of thousands of employees. You got to do things to try to keep the place on course and straight. And unless you're at the center of some of those things, it probably looks untoward, some of those behaviors. So I'm not bagging bigger companies. I did 19 years at 2 really large companies, and particularly US Bancorp, I loved my time there. So I'm not bagging on them, just saying that those places wouldn't give you or me those kind of chances because the career pathing there, my opinion, one man in a sea of millions, one man's opinion is it's a lot of luck and a lot of placement, a lot of location things that have to happen for careers to climb to senior levels in places like that. And plus, a lot of those places go to the outside. I've never understood that. That's another episode too. Like, you should promote your homegrown talent instead of bringing in outside people, even though sometimes that makes perfect sense to do. Sometimes you need to fresh set eyes, blah, blah, all the things. But I'm so excited for you because you're going to experience things that I'll use the words traditional HR leaders wouldn't get to do. And, for the audience that listens, we have a really large strategic partner that is going to be a significant reason that check all will work or not work. And that's a scary thing. Now, some of those decisions were not made by Rachel and I. We were executing those things at the time, but now we own it. I mean, there's nowhere else. We're not looking left or right or up. I mean, Rachel and I own the outcome. And there's others here, of course. I'm just saying she and I on this podcast. But as a CAO and I'm a freshly minted CEO, we certainly own the outcome of that relationship. And she's going to be doing the backstroke through partnering things, headwinds, tailwinds, crosswinds that could move the needle for a company like Checkoff significantly to the positive or significantly to the negative. Not to freak her out in front of everybody, but I have to say, there's no one better from a relational perspective and an emotional intelligence perspective to navigate this. Better than I could ever do. I mean, I'm the anvil killing an ant kind of guy. So I am a broadsword, not a scalpel. And Rachel is a scalpel, not a broadsword. So we're actually a great mix together as a team. So I think that relationship is in the best hands. And operating without a net, I've always felt are the best places to learn lessons because bigger companies, there's lots of nets. There's hundreds of people around you that can take the blame, shoulder some work, a lot of group thinking places like that slow things down. So I think the two things you're going to see, and for everyone to hear that may be navigating decisions in your own careers and personal lives about where you work and how you work and where you deploy your courage to sign up for new things to learn and do. She's going to be on a really wild adventure of making decisions she didn't have to make before that aren't human related. They're workflow related, they're revenue related, they're expense related. I'm not saying HR doesn't have a role in that. I'm on the record on this podcast and across my career saying HR is a force multiplier and it needs to be part of every business solution. But she's not a partner now. Now she's the driver. So others will partner with her, like our chief commercial officer and our chief risk officer and our chief financial officer. Like, we're operating at a different pace and style. So that's a lot of words to say. I'm very excited for you. Like, I like new things, and I've spent my career putting people in positions where maybe they had no business being in that role by the book, but gut instinct I always felt was better than the book. And you're one of the finest business leaders I've been around. So try it. And then who knows what it turns into later. Whatever happens with Checkall, but of course it's going to be successful because we have amazing investors and a business model that we're truly focused on now. And this is going to work. It's already starting to work. So what I mean by that is wherever this goes for her career-wise, she can do whatever she wants because these are the places that are fertile ground for growth. So I'm excited for you.
Well, thank you. And we've talked about this a few times before on this podcast about how when you're in smaller companies, you get a chance to wear multiple hats and you get to chime in and chip in and pitch in where things are needed. Like you, Patrick, I've always embraced change. I think change is fun. Things are really boring for me when they stay the same. So I'm excited to contribute in new ways. As you humbly and briefly alluded, you've been elevated as our chief executive officer in addition to being president. And that is also a big step up. So Checkall, going forward, has formalized some of our structures. We have expanded our board. We've got some really strong partners. When we spend a lot of time with them, listening to them, seeking their guidance, and including them in our strategy and our work. And so because of all this, you'll start hearing us talk a little bit more about things that are happening at Checkall on this podcast, whereas previously we sort of kept that off to the side. We're not going to be trying to sell you anything. It's not going to be a commercial for Checkalt. But some of the things that we're experiencing and living are really a microcosm of what's going on in the outside world. The feedback that we're getting from a lot of you is that the stuff that we've been talking about is familiar to you because you're seeing some similar things in your environments. And so let's share so that we can help each other. None of us need to feel alone as we go through navigating some of the, I think, fastest rate of change that any of us have ever experienced. It's a wild and crazy world out there.
It is. I mean, even the news this week has been super interesting with Amazon and UPS. I mean, when UPS is done with this year's actions, they'll have removed 80,000 jobs. I mean, that's
Wow.
like a town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's taken out a whole town.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people approach those things from an emotional standpoint. And I'm not saying I'm not emotional for the listeners who know me. I'm an emotional guy, sometimes too much. Sometimes I care too much, or I'm too loud, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. Just something I'm always working on. But if you look at it structurally and from the coldness of business or the coldness of business space, actually makes sense. Now, where oddities converge here is this AI thing, I'm calling it an AI thing, I think is being overspun. On prior episodes of this, I've said I've been playing with this through people who worked for me and with me. You don't want me programming this stuff, but I have real strong opinions on how to deploy it. But we started messing with this, I think, in 2012, 2013. So, I mean, we're coming up on 15 years later of, automation and robotics, and if you want to call it AI, machine learning. And yes, the future is now. So I'm not saying it isn't real. I'm not saying we shouldn't discuss it or be aware of it or adapt to it. But I think that there's a version of cognitive dissonance going on in the workforce where the change is so rapid and happening so quickly. And there's so many inputs coming at everybody about what is or isn't happening with AI. So if I knock that down a few levels versus using fancy words like cognitive dissonance, I don't know if humans are capable of projecting forward what a world looks like with less employment opportunity. And when I start breaking that stuff down, and I'm not an expert, I just have opinions. We all have opinions. Like Optimus from Tesla. And if you guys haven't checked that out, DuckDuckGo or Google or whatever you use for a search engine, Optimus Tesla, and look at the work that's going on in South Texas and Southern California at that company around autonomous beings walking among us. And I tell Rachel all the time, I'm going to get one. Like, I'm going to get one. I know $28,000 is a lot of money to a lot of people. It's a lot of money to me and my family. But I think you stay relevant if you engage in what's happening around you currently and not shy away from it. And early adoption in any technology probably isn't always that smart. I told customers that over my career. I'm like, hey, man, when we announce something, wait. I mean, I've done that to my own company before. And customers have actually appreciated that about me over the years, where I caution them about jumping into whatever the latest marketing buzz is coming out of where I worked. And I do that here, by the way, because I think honesty is the best policy. But with something like Optimus, that is a fully autonomous humanoid thing that comes with the latest stacks of AI that you can plug in your house. It's Wi-Fi, so you can download updates and upgrades through outer space. And it can start doing things to make you more productive. I want to participate in that. And then, of course, I instantly jump to what my job is here or anywhere, wherever my future takes me. How do I deploy that stuff? Think about a $28,000 cost. Now, that's what they're saying. Let's pretend it's 50 grand. Let's say they're wildly off or whatever. And when they come out, it's going to be 50. So no one fact check me later. You said it was going to be 28 grand. It was 50. All right, 50. Think about the cost of that compared to a person. No vacation, no health care, oil its joints and plug it in. I don't know. Is it the Tin Man? But I want to play with that. I mean, there'll come a day in the future, probably after you and I are gone, long departed, Rachel, from the planet, but where those things are going to work as the CAO and CEO. And if you listen to Musk talk about universal income, which, as with most things, becomes a political stick of dynamite, it shouldn't be. If it's masking the person and doing the person's work, the person's still drawing income, the machine is doing the work. Now that's really down the road in the future. Like I'm really projecting, but I
Yeah.
want to be at the ground floor. I won't be around to see the 50th floor and the 51st floor of this building being built. And life is a game we all lose. So I'm not trying to be dark. Like none of us live forever. Although Musk talked about that the other day. He thinks he can figure out how to make people live longer, but that's another day.
Well, he says a lot of things,
He
just so.
does. Well, he's restoring sight
Yeah.
and he's putting implants in people's minds to use a computer because they can't use their arms or talk. I mean, it's
Yeah.
working. He's got it in like 15 people now.
Oh, it's
So
amazing.
that's what I'm saying. Like we're at this amazing beginning. And like you just reacted to, he says a lot of things. Well, who would have thought he could restore sight in the blind
Yeah. No,
through
it's true.
technology? Like maybe he can elongate life. I don't know. I don't want to see me at 150 years old, so I'm okay. I'm okay with whatever God's plan is when he takes me. I don't, I feel like I'm rough enough at 50 something, so I don't want to see 150 or 250. But it's like I'm so full, my mind is so full of it all. I'm like stuttering over my own thoughts, but we're at this really wild crossroads of technology explosion and efficiency pickups and expansion of human capability. So I'm going to get an Optimus so I can play with it. I want to
Me
see what it
too.
can do. Now I love walking my dog, but I'm going to program it to walk Hawkeye, our boxer. Like I'll go with him. Like it could be me and Optimus walking our dog. He's going to be like, "Where's mom? What is this thing?"
But it's a force multiplier.
It
You know,
is.
when people ask you, Patrick, there's like this cliche question, if you can choose one superhero power, which one would you want to fly? Do you want to be invisible? What do you answer?
Oh, that's wild. Is my superpower or what I want
No.
it to
What
be?
would you wish for? If you had the choice to, I don't know, have an invisibility cloak or fly or think about all the superheroes and their powers that or whatever they do.
Not never have to sleep.
Oh, okay.
I
So
love
then
sleep. I'm a fan of sleep. There's moments if I let my mind go there where I'm like, I'm missing so much.
right.
Imagine what we could do if we only needed 2 hours of sleep a night.
That's
Like,
true.
that would be a superpower. Like Optimus, just plug him in for 2 hours, and then he's good for 22 hours. Like,
Right?
I think that's a superpower. And what if humans could do that? And then
For sure.
that's the logical one. The fun one would be, I wanna fly.
You wanna
I
fly.
I mean, I flew aircraft, but I would love to just, like, jump off and
Really?
be in Europe in an hour.
So for me, I feel like airplanes do a really good job flying. I don't really need to replace that. But I've always answered when people ask me these questions in these like, I don't know, you're going around the room and you have to, say a fun fact. I would always want to be in more than one place at the same time. And I think both of our superpower aspirations come from a need for more productivity. And that's what these robots will do, right? So until they replace us, which will be in a while from now, they will be a force multiplier, which is so cool, right? Imagine if the robots or the AI or whatever does all the busy and boring stuff so that we can do what's interesting. There's still a need for humans. I just think the rules are being rewritten as we speak. And that is freaking a lot of people out, right? The
It is.
layoffs that
Yeah,
you referenced,
yeah.
right? UPS, Amazon, whoever, right? Every other day, there's another layoff announcement.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, when I see these articles and sometimes when I venture into the comments, right, everyone's always bashing HR. And sometimes the manner in which these layoffs are conveyed are really sterile and cruel and unfortunate, especially given the seniority that some of the impacted employees have and the dedication that people have had to their jobs. But for me, being on the other side of having to administer the layoffs and trying my best to add some humanity and dignity to the process, the reaction and the calculations have always been, well, the company can't afford to hire you, or we've had to cut costs, or, a company will release their earnings, and they're down, so they have to, cut a whole bunch of employees. So it's always been, we're so sorry, the company's not performing as well as we expected, so unfortunately you can't continue to work here. The rules are changing in that companies that are doing really, really, really well, like Amazon, are still cutting their staff. And so it's not an expression of defeat, or it's not an apologetic view of, oh, we wish we could keep you, but we can't. But it's more like, hey, we need different skills, we need different jobs because our strategy is changing. And because the speed of innovation is so incredibly fast, that's changing every quarter, every year. And so if there's a whole team that's aligned towards a strategy and the strategy shifts, well, that team isn't needed anymore and they need to go hire another team. Now, the frustrating part is that companies are maybe hiring irresponsibly because when you're dealing with people's lives, I think they should be more transparent and say, hey, this is a bet that we're making, or this is a project, or we're bringing you in. This may work, this may not. This might just be an assignment that's 6 months or a year or whatever, not like, hey, join our family forever. And then, oh, just kidding, it didn't work out. But if robots can do it, robots won't, I guess, be as impacted by this disruption like people are, because people have families, people have obligations, people have caregiving responsibilities.
I mean, it's really heavy stuff. And I mentioned like 8 minutes
Yeah.
ago, people read the UPS and Amazon stuff and get emotional and don't think logically first because we're humans. And we go, oh, those poor people. And there is a version of that. And it's funny because I just said this on our staff meeting earlier this week. I said, don't love something that can't love you back.
Mm,
I mean, it's a bit of a cynical approach to it, but when I communicate to broader audiences, I think it's important to just lay out the cold steel of it instead of try to ho hum around
yeah.
it or use, fluffy words to try to soften blows. But people are adults in these roles. And the readers of this news that are in their own jobs are like, oh, is AI going to come for me? Well, my comment is you should be proactive about how you're managing your outcomes because of what you
Yeah.
said, Rachel. We've got kids in college. We've got kids that need medical help, or our parents are aging, or all the things that humans deal with on their day to day that add to the cognitive dissonance of all this stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
our brains can only take so much change, and we're dealing with really heavy things. I mean, the world is basically on fire right now. The global order is rearranging. And that's not some tin hat stuff. I will never get political on this podcast. It's not political. It's humanity. Politics is just part of humanity. I mean, if you read history, and I love history, so I read a lot of it. The human race has gone through cyclical moments like this again and again and again, from the creation of the wheel to steam engines to whale oil in lanterns to electricity to Graham Bell's phone to the
Yeah.
discovery of oil in Pennsylvania and East Texas. And my God, the human race goes through such impactful moments of change. This is just the latest one. I believe the winners in corporate America or not for profits or law enforcement or whatever AI is coming for or is going to enhance, be proactive to attack the situation, not wait for the situation to happen to you. You should impact the change you want. You're not going
Yeah.
to change the world. You're not going to change human history. But as a collective, we all kind of do. So every decision we all make in our personal lives and in our jobs and in our careers and blah, blah, have an impact to the broader society as a whole. You just don't feel it in the moment because it's such a macro thing. But micro decisions always impact macro outcomes.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you're employed and you read the Amazon stuff and the UPS stuff and the federal government shedding 1.4 million jobs, your brain goes to how are they going to feed their families? Well, the cold side of me says, well, they should have been thinking about that all along.
Yeah.
You are guaranteed nothing. So when I said in staff this week, don't love something that can't love you back, you should never get attached to a building. I've been in this office my whole career. Why are they closing it? I love it because you don't own that building. You just work
Right.
there. This company's being sold. Why? I don't want to do that change. Everything's going to change. This big company's going to buy it and all these new rules and all these new people and they're going to ruin it. And by the way, they probably will because big companies usually ruin nimble, autonomous, entrepreneurial environments. Welcome to the game, everybody. But you shouldn't be in love with it. Love your wife, love your kids, love your husband, love your partner, love your parents. That's where people's emotional energy should be spent. Now, it's kind of crazy coming from me and for the listeners again who know me. Sometimes in my career, I've been overly passionate about the place I've worked. And when US Bank sold us to Fiserv, I don't think I've ever told you this, Rachel. I was leading the bank's leadership program, and I loved that.
Mhm.
Like, I almost called it a real job. I had another job. I was the head of ops for a very thriving payments group inside US Bank called Alon Financial Services with amazing human beings in Palm Desert, California, and Dallas, and Lafayette, Louisiana, and Pittsburgh, and a couple other Minneapolis, a couple other places. So when they sold us, I was upset, and we were doing the graduation of that year's cohort because we'd send 20 to 30 VPs and SVPs through a leadership regimen over a 10-month period. And the top of the class would be selected to go to banking school of their choice. Like I went to University
Mm.
of Washington, but there's one in Colorado, there's one in North Carolina or South Carolina. And it's a prestigious thing when a bank sends you to go
Yeah.
learn how to run a bank. So I was into that program and I wanted to help people and well, everyone graduates, and there's usually vice chairman there from their business unit, the graduates business unit. Everyone claps and shakes hands, and we do a little mixer afterwards. Well, two of the vice chairmen presented me a thing to thank me for my time at US Bank and for running that program. And because I was leaving the next week, it was that close. Like we
Mm.
graduated people, and a week later, I was a Fiserv employee. And I cried like a baby in front of 50, 60 people. Well, Rachel knows firsthand because she's seen the best of me and the worst of me. I wear my feelings one layer underneath my skin, one dermi layer. I mean, it doesn't take much to get me, emotional like that. And I have the worst cry face. So I was instantly like, oh my God, this is going to be so awful. People are taking pictures. And I was so personally hurt, not moved. I was
Yeah.
upset because I didn't want to go to Fiserv. I didn't want US Bank to sell the business. And this was 2018, everybody. It's not that long ago. And if you think about the span of my career, you'd think the way I talk now, I would have not been as emotional about being sold because it was a smart decision by the bank. And we made the bank a lot of money. I was proud of that. I mean, it was a 4X, 5X sale of a business. Those are rare things to be a part of. I was proud of that, but I didn't want to go. I loved working there. And it was really the first lesson for me, a harsh lesson, because I'd been through part of other acquisitions, but I was never that emotional. I spent 14 years at the bank. I made lifelong relationships there. I had dinner last night with a guy I worked with at the bank in Dallas. I mean, and I'd been there since 18. I mean, these emotional connections we all have are so important, but at the end of the day, it's a business. What did the mob always say? What did the Godfather? It's just business. Okay. It's just business. But we spend so many hours at these businesses, you do become emotionally attached. So finding a balance between loving something that can't love you back because you spend so much time there and you put so much of yourself into helping others in your career and your customers that when it's time for a cold, hard decision like UPS is making, people should try to remember the thoughtful side of it. Like Rachel said, we are aware of some peer, we'll call them peer groups in the industry going through these kinds of changes. And they're just emailing employees saying, goodbye. There's no nothing. It's just you're done. And
Yeah.
then another group is telling people, hey, don't come to work this week because you might get a phone call that you don't work here anymore. That's a crazy way to handle a
Yes.
separation. That is, imagine what those people are going to feel. So I'm not saying don't be emotional about it. I'm saying try to put it in the right place.
It's
That's what I've tried to
perspective.
do since 2018 is put it in the right place, whether it's a job change or me taking on this role or you taking on this role. Like my entity for my being for such a long time is I want to be the best chief operating officer ever. I love operating things. I love chunky problems, even though I whine and complain about them sometimes. Maybe that's the soldier in me that never left. Like no matter what hill we're climbing or how much we're winning, soldiers always find something to bitch about. So maybe I that just stayed with me. But I love the climb, but I can't be emotionally attached to who I thought I was before in this role. That's its change too. So it's not just layoffs and new technology and it's role change, like whatever you're going through. Like you're dealing with me on a different layer now. And for the world to
Yep.
hear, you've seen probably different behaviors from me towards you, knowing you're not just HR anymore. I'm
Yes.
treating you more like a line person than an HR person. Now, what I mean by that is I wasn't less or more careful with her and the words I chose. She knows that. I say anyway. It's just it's a different mission orientation she's on.
Yeah.
So call it a more firm approach to dialogue or ideas or how I see outcomes, she's going to experience that. And then she's going to have to deal with it at an emotional level. Is he upset? Or is this directness to help? Like, we all go through that when you're experiencing new relationships, which now she
Mhm.
and I are not new to each other. We're almost 3 years in together, but the roles for us both are different. So we're both experiencing these changes seismically, career wise.
Mm.
We're turning a company, we're reinforcing culture together. And I'm trusting her to depart the nest of human resources, which for a lot of the world is known as an internal role. Fair.
Yeah.
And now she, like last night, she had dinner with one of our largest partners. I wasn't there. Commercial wasn't there. She is flying on her own, representing the company, not as the head of HR, but the head of how the company operates. So that's new for both of us. Like, wow, look at that change. So if you listen to all of this gibber I'm giving everybody, I think I counted almost 14 types of change that's happening in the world today, and I could probably list another 20, probably another 30. So could you. So how do you ground yourself when the world is chaotic? And by the way, everybody, chaos isn't a negative word. Like for a guy like me, chaos is opportunity. And everyone should hear that. No one should be afraid of chaos. Chaos is an opportunity for people to think differently and shine. Because a lot of people feel like their feet are shifting underneath them. They don't feel stable in change and chaos, and chaos gets thrown around too much. Not everything's chaos. I've actually seen chaos. I haven't seen real chaos in corporate America. It just feels that way. So if you can find a way to plant your feet solidly by holding on to the fact that you shouldn't love something that can't love you back, doesn't mean you don't give it your best. But you're the brand. The brand you work for isn't your brand. Rachel Book is a brand. Patrick Law is a brand. It wasn't Stryker and AT&T for Rachel, and probably back then it felt like that because she was younger in her career, and corporate America was different before COVID, where the word family was thrown around a lot.
Yes.
And then post-COVID, the family thing isn't as much because I think people refound what their real families were. I did. I've
Mm.
changed because of it. And I'm not putting it on COVID. I'm just saying the circumstances of the universe re imaged my mind in a way to where I know where my real priorities are, and brands aren't it. The people are it. So I care about Rachel, not Chekhov. That's a weird sentence. Well, you he's the CEO of a company and then care about it? I don't mean it that way. I mean, Rachel's the brand. Jason Swablin's the brand. Jennifer Sowers is the brand. That's the brand.
Yeah.
Focus there. And if you can keep that center wherever you are, if you keep that part center, whatever happens with the brand, you've
Yeah.
gave it your best with people you cared about or people that you could grow from. And the outcome is going to be the outcome. I think the outcome more times than not is going to be good if you can find a way to that. That's really heavy dialogue, but and I didn't know if that's where we were going to go this morning, Rachel, but I think that's if you could break down all of those words and all of those ideations and all of that stuff, if you could find a way to keep grounded while all this change is happening around you and remember what's most important and know that you're the brand. You, the person, are the brand. You aren't Fiserv. You aren't Stryker. You aren't JP Morgan Chase. You aren't blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And you aren't the building you work in. The building should be lucky to have you in it. How about that?
Oh, yeah. And work is not your family.
It's not.
Find your family, whether it's your real family, whether it's your found family, whether it's community organizations that you serve, that you volunteer at, hobbies. Work should not be everything and everyone to us, because then when something goes wrong there, what do we have left? Right? And things will go wrong because things will change. Have I ever shown you this mug? My team got this for me for my birthday a
Yeah,
couple
you
years
showed it
ago.
to me. Chaos
Yeah, it
controller
says
for
chaos
people who can't
controller.
see the video. Yeah.
So I think part of what leadership expectation towards leadership is to maybe not control the chaos, but calibrate the chaos so that it doesn't affect every single person every minute of every day. And then think creatively about what can we do to control the controllables, right? Some of the chaos is going to continue. Some of the change is happening so fast, we are just kind of looking on and saying, whoa. But there are some small changes that we can make in our perspective, in our habits, in what we learn, what we become familiar with, so that we don't get left behind. So, future episodes, we're going to talk a lot more about this theme because this theme is just I mean, you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. The rules of the road are being changed as we speak. Like, we're not
I
touching
don't know.
we're not talking about politics, but,
No.
one thing that or one theme that I'm noticing is that things that people assumed would either could never happen or would for sure happen, that has been disproved over and over and over again. And so what that means is who knows what we can expect. I personally think that's pretty cool. Some of the outcomes are not awesome, or people might disagree on how to interpret those outcomes. But what it means is we have to be a little bit more adventurous in how we encounter what comes across our plates.
It's a consistent theme across these podcasts and what you and I bring to work every day. You use the word adventurous. I always say courageous. It's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Keep doing that because in a world that you don't feel you can control, that just makes you an emotional mess or uneasy emotionally or whatever the words are you want to insert how you're feeling. Focusing on the things that you can manage in the middle of that. Like I used to tell people at the bank and at Fiserv all the time, and here a few people, you can't fix chaos, but you can master it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it falls in line for you. It just means you're a master of chaos. You can navigate it. You can get to the other side of it without, ending up in a heap. Sometimes wins aren't storybook endings. Sometimes wins are survival. And
Yeah.
survival doesn't mean just basically existing. You can thrive and survive. And how you define it and the expectations you set for yourself through these changes, I think, are what's important. That takes courage to admit that you're a little uneasy on your feet. And as a quick side note, don't do it alone. I
Right.
mean, I've lost track of how many times I've reached out to Rachel for stability, and sometimes she hits me up for stability, and many on the team reach out for stability. I don't have all the answers, but I always try to be present in those moments and to admit, yeah, I feel unsteady right now too. I mean, the turn we're making with this company and she and I taking on these new roles we've never done before. I mean, there was a time in my career where I was like, I want to be a CEO one day. And then sometime around 2014, I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be the best CEO the planet's ever seen. And I'm the world's best wingman. I used to tell people that. I told Himanshu Patel that. I told Troy Cullen that. I'm like, I'm the world's best wingman. I don't need to be the lead plane. I'm good. Like, I'm good. Let's just fly. And now I'm here. And it's not like I wasn't completely prepared for it, but I don't feel overly steady. I mean, we sat a board.
Mhm.
I took the role August 5th without the title, and Rachel will tell you, and I've told everyone I didn't want the title. I didn't. I mean, the board basically just moved it that way because it just makes sense for a business to do that. You can't run with a president and chief operating officer, even though I wanted to try that for everybody to hear. But so August 5th is when that change happened, and then the board voted on the title in November, and I started using it 3 weeks ago. But I've been doing the job for a while, probably
Yeah.
since June, July, and people look at me different, and that makes me a little unsteady. And when I say that, that title, this is why I didn't want it. The title is a perception for people.
Yeah.
There's a story behind those three letters and those three words that make up those three letters that paint a picture in people's heads. And I'm deathly afraid. I use the word, which I don't use often because I don't fear much, but I'm deathly afraid of not knowing everything. And that's not new for me. I was that way at US Bank. I was that way at Fiserv. And I'm not a micromanager. The more title you carry, the more away people treat you or feel you should be treated. Or, oh, we can't tell them that. Let's just fix it. Well, then I find out another odd way. Like, I don't want yes men around me. And for everyone to hear, Rachel's certainly not that. She gives me direct feedback almost on a daily basis. And I usually
More than he wants.
And I usually just answer heard, and then I will adjust my behavior. So that's another example of find a friend in business that's willing to look you in the face and say, "That's not right," and don't say shit like that, or don't do this, or don't do that. And she's not micromanaging me; she's helping me. It's not a criticism, but you need a battle buddy to wade into this stuff with when you're feeling unsteady. And taking this title and driving this company with Rachel's help and Jason's help and Satish's help and everyone's help, there's a little bit of feeling of loneliness to it, that scares me a little bit. So that could really distract me for what we're trying to do here every day. Because do I get overly involved? Do I pull back more? not to replicate past behaviors of others and other companies here, whatever. So people can operate and be free to think because there's a lot of smart people here. I tell people all the time, we're killing an ant with a sledgehammer here. We have probably 30, 40 people in this place that are such high grade, they could go
Oh,
anywhere and do anything they want. This place is so well positioned talent wise.
yeah.
It's just going to come down to a matter of will the market react to the product set and the people pitching it. We're a people business that sells technology. So as the new CEO or a new to a role like this, where do I fit? It may sound odd. Well, what do you mean? The CEO fits where it fits. Okay. But in an environment with so much talent, where probably 5 to 6 of them could be the CEO, including Rachel, where do I fit to let them keep flying, keep growing, keep learning, and turn the company to a level of profitability that our owners want? Sitting the board in September after the title change. Rachel took the title change, I think, in October for herself, which was part of the board approving it. Like that's new. Like
Hmm.
a lot of private equity companies are loosely boarded. This place is solidly boarded. We've got Jeff Bray, who's an industry icon from a technology perspective, who is very focused on risk and compliance and technology safety and cyber and obsolescence. And then you got Troy Cullen, who I've always considered a financial and revenue god. And you've got Bill Kreinberg up in Rochester, New York, where I went to college, which is kind of fun. Like I've not met a
Yeah.
lot of people that live in Rochester in my career. So it's kind of nice knowing one of my hometowns is representing. We're learning how to do those things. Like my old jobs and her old jobs, we weren't in front of the board, not on a monthly basis. And I talk to the board weekly. Like I want to be engaged with them. So I'm learning that. Like I don't need to be the ticket guy. I don't need to be, how's the platform doing every minute of every day? I need to be managing the board. The board needs to be managing me. So I just don't have a boss. I have 4 bosses. The board is my boss. And they're all over the country and they come from different industries and they do different things and they have different ideas. And that's unsteady for me. I'm used to having a boss. And maybe, particularly like at Fiserv in the bank, I had, really high level access. But they weren't my boss. I just had the access and they asked me questions. Here, the access is what are you delivering today? And the expectations are high. And then that drifts into Rachel's world, it drifts into Satish's world. We put together this amazing 26 and 27 plan. It was like 48 pages of some of the best deckware I've ever seen. Something I was taught by Himanshu Patel and Eliza Netter and Erica Selleck that did these amazing things with acquisitions and consulting groups and First Data and Fiserv. I mean, my God, it was a blessing to learn those things from those people. And now I'm actually getting to execute them. I'm executing them. And what if I make a wrong decision? I could break the company. And to have a board member, and Rachel too, has said to my face, look, you go really fast and you're sometimes overly aggressive. Don't break this place. I mean, that's a hell of a thing to have in board minutes. Patrick, don't break the place. So that has me fighting my own head. Like I like going fast. I like making these crazy bold decisions and ah, but a lot of business people hear crazy bold decision like, oh my God, that's risky. Well, maybe. But if you don't hang yourself out there a little bit, you don't move the ball. Sometimes you got to do some interesting things. Anyway, I wanted to put that part about my journey the last 6 months. I know Rachel talked about hers. I kind of skipped over mine because I hate that title thing. But everyone, no matter what kind of job you're stepping into, or if you've recently lost your role because of AI or whatever reason your company gave you, and you're trying new things, just don't be afraid of them. And look at the opportunity to make decisions on your own, or to start a business on your own, or whatever your next journey is, either in the company you're going to stay at or the company you're going to. Find friends to take the journey with you that you have confidence of telling you the truth. Be okay not being okay, or be comfortable being uncomfortable. Something I feel like I've been doing for so long now, it's my normal. But with each turn of that page, I learned something new about myself. And I think when I look back, when all of this is over and I'm all of this being my career and I'm doing whatever I'm going to do next, I'm going to be grateful I had the opportunities, no matter how painful some of them were. So anyway, I'm glad that the podcast is back, and we're going to talk some more about this stuff in more detail. And Rachel and I will keep you plugged in how we're figuring out how to be CAOs and CEOs and and driving a company to profitability, more profitability, and finding new ways to take care of customers without making them feel we're trying to automate us away because customers still want that human contact and employees still need that human contact because, oh, by the way, as a side comment, employees are your customer. They
Yeah.
choose they choose you. So you don't want to over automate them or make them feel like you're gonna because you need them. So I think it's going to be an interesting season, and I'm excited, Rachel.
Me too. And we always promise you some key takeaways after we go on and blah, blah, blah for all this time. And so I think our key takeaway today is your work is not your family. And again, family can be defined however you choose. However, it's really important to surround yourself with other people who are accountability partners, who challenge you, who think differently than you. Because if you're a student of history like Patrick, or you follow the news, or you see what happened at some companies that maybe didn't end up in the best places. Very often it's because there's one person making all the rules all the time. And that's never healthy. It could be the most brilliant genius person ever, but one person will never have all the answers. Our brains play tricks on us. We have biases, we see things in our own way, and it's not always the way that matters or that resonates most with the people that we serve. So find people around you who will challenge you, who will help you, who will guide you, who will partner with you, because it's going to be a fun and also rocky road ahead. So we'll see you in a couple weeks. Reach out, let us know what you want to hear about.
Bye, guys.
Bye.